All right, so I've already actually done some sound deadening in this car. I've done some mainly in the rear hatch area, since that's where a lot of the road noise comes from the wheel wells back there and just the large panel of rear glass there. So I've actually added some of that dynamat and then a little bit of the acoustic insulation. So I've added that, and then I've done the door panels as well too. But outside of that, you know, none of the headliner or the A-pillars, none of the rear floor here, or none of the cabin floor here, except kind of in the back behind the seats, have been done. So that is the extent of the sound deadening that we have. So what we're gonna do now is go ahead and do a before and after test. I'm gonna do a couple runs. I'm gonna do some on the highway at speed, and then I'm gonna do some, you know, off the highway, probably around 45 or 50 miles an hour, and we'll see what the sound levels are now versus after we install all that extra sound deadening. Okay, here we are at about 50 off the highway here on the service road. 6th gear. Around 80. Particular. It seems to be a lot louder than a lot of the other highways around here due to the construction of it. It's just kind of, seems like a bit rutted or something, real bumpy. The material is not great. So it's time to move on to the sound deadening install. So in my experience, and it's quite limited if I'm honest with you, you might want to do research and find out what other types are out there. I generally find that there's two types of sound deadening for cars. There's usually a sort of mat like we have here. It's like a butyl rubber that you apply, and it sticks to, you know, different surfaces of your car, and it helps kind of dull those vibrations and the noises and just some of that harshness out. And then in the other case, there's usually some of these like fiber mats or material. So this will go underneath the carpet, but before we do that, what we're gonna do is actually apply some of this butyl rubber lining and apply that to the metal of the car, and it's gonna just dull out some of those vibrations and everything. And then this will actually just kind of be an extra layer of sound deadener to quiet down the cabin a bit. So I've not used this product, but I've used butyl mat like this before in the Z, and it definitely worked to some extent. But a lot of people tell you that you need to pretty much do the whole car if you're really going to make this kind of thing work. So that is exactly what we intend to do here. Now it's important to note too that we're going to add a little bit of weight with this, and you know, people are going to say, oh, you know, if you want to track this car or you want your car to be faster at all, you're going to have to remove all the weight that you can. And yes, that is true, but this is a mainly street application. I've never taken it to the track. You know, it might be fun to at some point, but that's not what this car is about. And really, we're not adding very much weight, so it's not going to be a big deal at all. So that's just my 2 cents, but to each their own.
That's your opinion.
Okay guys, so for this one we are going to have to take out the interior of the car, and modern cars have a lot of interior parts, but I'm here to tell you that it's really not that difficult of a job.
Oh, I know!
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
I have an IQ of about 7.3, and I have done this before in some of my cars, specifically the Z when I did the sound deadening and the interior conversion for that from tan to black. So it's really not difficult. They're usually just held in with some clips and some pop rivets made out of plastic. It's a very tedious job, but it's by no means hard. So if you're ever interested in doing a job that has you removing the interior of a car, don't hesitate and go ahead and give it a try if you think you'd like to do it. So you'll see that back here I've already done the sound deadening underneath this area. So you can see underneath the spare tire there that the sound deadening has been applied. Again, I used that butyl mat first, and then I used that acoustic insulation. This one's a little bit different. It has foil lined backing, but I did that here, and then I did it up on the hatch here in this material. So we pretty much don't have to worry about anything south of the seats here, so it's all going to be from that point forward. Now, I'm probably a little bit overly obsessive with this kind of thing, but since I'm going to have this hatch open so long, and this hatch is incredibly heavy, weighs about 50.2 tons, I've gone ahead and put a jack handle in here with a rag to protect the plastics, just to hold this thing up and make sure that, you know, it's not straining those little struts there. I have had to replace these. That's about the only thing I've ever really had fail on this car, so I just want to be a little bit extra cautious with that. So I'm going to start by removing the front seats. That's going to be the easiest thing here. Just get those seats out of the way. It's going to free up a lot of that floor space for us to work in. And then from there, we'll probably take out the back seats, then the center console, and then probably the rear quarter trim panels, the mid panels. I don't know what they're called on this car, but we'll go ahead and start with those items and then work our way from there. Alright guys, so I would be remiss if I didn't tell you, you know, with these modern cars, you should you should disconnect your battery, because you're going to be working around a lot of parts, you know, like you're going to be working around a lot of sensors, some of which might be, you know, like side curtain airbags or airbags in the seats even. And in this case, this has what I presume to be a seatbelt sensor and an airbag sensor. So just make sure that you're disconnecting these things as you go. Make sure your battery's disconnected. Look, I've already recouped some money on this. 76 cents and 2 gums. Fuel tank release trim has 1 bolt. It's a 10 mil, of course. What else would it be? There we go. It's actually a screw. And then this probably has a clip in it somewhere. And we'll move forward probably through this door. Okay, so it pulls actually forward and then away. That's the way the clip is shaped. So we will flip this over. And now, usually release cables are pretty similar, you know, for most cars and like most applications. This is just like, you know, a lot of hood releases are and stuff. You just slide that out of the bracket, and then there's usually a slot for the ball to go through, which activates the mechanism. Okay, these clips are actually pretty simple. They do kind of hold the carpet in place underneath that sill, but all you do is push against that clip and it lifts up and then that slots their little tab in the carpet. So you don't have to like take off all the connectors out of the body. Actually, it's pretty nice little design actually.
Pretty fun, kind of boring.
Same back here. Now I do want to remove these large like sail panel and passenger trim pieces here. Not really sure how it's done. Thankfully it's a separate piece from the upper areas too, so we don't have to take out all that. But just we'll find out how it's in there. I'm sure it's just clips into the body, but we'll figure this out. Yep, feels like it's just pop rivets pulling away from the panel. Really shouldn't be very difficult, but take time, be careful. This stuff breaks easy. Interior trim panel tools really make a difference as well too, and they're very cheap. So if you don't have any, I couldn't recommend it enough. Okay guys, so apparently these seats actually just pop out, like they're clipped in, I guess, some like the other interior trim. So I read that you really just have to, you know, pull up on these seats and they should come out. So we need to do that in order to get these rear sail panels out. So we will see how easy or difficult this actually is. It doesn't seem to be very easy to do. Can feel something here. Wow. Feels really difficult to do. Put a lot of force into that. Oh wow, okay. So, let's see, let's adjust it here. So you can see there is a little metal tab here that goes into this white slot here, plastic clip. You just really have to yank on this thing. It's in the center of the left and right seats for anyone that might be doing this. Little automotive archaeology. And spent $10 at Grapevine Bike Center. Sweet. Some kind of Catholic prayer rosary bead thing, I guess. So I actually don't need to take the seat backs off here. I don't know why I started with that, and you know, I was pulling the bolts for those, but we don't have to take those out for this job. And I actually have the perfect, you know, access to the floor here in order to do some sound deadening. But yeah, we can start to see where the carpet ends. It ends right here underneath the seats. So what we got to do is just pull it up here and then get behind these sail panels so we can do the sound deadening and you know, get to the carpet under here. But yeah, not too much more left before the carpet comes out of this thing. Well, so there is a, I think it's OEM Audio makes a, like a plug and play kit for like an OEM Plus audio system for this car. And they have a great video detailing on actually how to pull a lot of this interior out. So that is a really good reference. Apparently there is a little, little trim piece here in the cup holder that you pop that out. And once you do that, there is a 10mm bolt behind there. Let's see if we can get this to work. It's a little dark in here too. That does the trick. Okay, there we go. pretty wild. These are, you know, just trim piece bolts for this rear panel, and they have blue Loctite, and there's some kind of high grade hardware, you know. I forget what this is with the markings on it and like the 3 lines and a dot, but it's some kind of high grade hardware. But yeah, it's just holding in this plastic panel. Okay, with those out, should be able to pop this thing out of place. Apparently you have to grab onto it from back here. And I think it looked kind of like they were sliding it forward a bit. That's stored. Okay, really had to pry on that thing for it to come out. I was scared of breaking it, but it doesn't look like we've broken anything. Just really tight in there with these little pop rivets. Of course, some of them stuck in there. We're gonna have to pull these out and pop them back into the door panel, or the rear quarter panel, whatever this thing is called. So that is out. One more thing off the list, and another area exposed to put the sound deadening in. So we can start to see kind of the extent of a lot of the places that they actually do not really put any kind of sound deadening in. And well, I guess there's one small tiny panel. I've noticed that in cars they'll just put like one small little panel of sound deadening just to soak up some of that vibration. But I mean, this is just like prime area for sound deadening. So that's going to be really nice to have there. We're definitely going to put that in place. I don't know if this actually goes down there or not, but tons of area to put sound deadening in, especially here in the wheel arch there. That's going to be really nice to have, you know, some of that reverberation go away. So now all that remains to be done is undo the other side and pull out this carpet, and we'll get ready to do this job. It's so scary doing that. We did it. Of course, it's the same story over here, just plenty of real estate to put in a lot of this nice, good sound deadening. I think this is really gonna help out a lot. A little bit of automotive archaeology here too. 8/31/1205 signed off on the chassis. Kind of cool. I'm a nerd. So with all of the panels that we need disconnected, hold on, I look like Two-Face in this shot. With all the panels that we need out of the way, we can go ahead and pull out this carpet. I'm gonna have to take everything out of this car though, because the carpet's about to come out. So let me unpack all the junk here that I've accumulated while doing this, and we will go ahead and pull the carpet out. Okay, it's now time to pull out this carpet. It's gonna be a little bit hard for me to get this shot. I don't have a ton of room in here and it's already night, but I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling everything up. That should be everything, I believe, in order for this carpet to come out. Minus these little circular clips here under the rear seat. There's just 2 of them, but those are pop rivet style, and you just, you know, use your plastic trim tool, pop those up, and then we should be good to go. Okay, it does look like I might have to pop off the little plastic rivets for this amp cover down here. Let's see if we can do that. All right, I think we're gonna have to undo the amp too. Just kind of in the way. I can't really seem to get the carpet around it. Looks like it should be really simple. Looks like 2 12mm bolts. Okay, and then you just disconnect the harnesses from it. Very self-explanatory. Then you've got to find an earplug under the carpet. They need it. Oh man. There we go. One Pioneer Toyota amp. Yes! $1 plus. Oh! Money! Oh, dude. I had like $1.50 on this thing. Yeah, this was so worth it. Quitting that stupid day job. Well, just like my first marriage, the carpet has been ripped up right underneath my feet. I miss you, Deborah.
No, they my house while I was working, paying the bills to keep our trailer, to feed our pets, our 4 snakes, and our gerbil.
So, you can see there's a little bit of sound deadening in this thing. Some little acoustic mats below the driver footwell. You know, similar to what we're gonna do. That's actually pretty thick, so that means we are ready to go ahead and put in some sound deadening. Can you hear that? No, I can't either. All right, so now that the carpet is out and we have pretty much all of our interior out, we'll pull all these things as well too. What we're gonna do is just go ahead and make sure that the areas that we're applying the sound deadening to are clean. Now, really this is just gonna require a vacuum in here. You can use like isopropyl alcohol and clean down surfaces, you know, for adhesion, but in my experience, these butyl mats are so sticky that it really doesn't matter. You just want to get the majority of, you know, the dirt and crumbs and french fries up. So we're gonna start with the vacuum and then we're gonna go ahead and start applying this stuff. Now, I've got to say I'm actually impressed with the stock amount of sound deadening. You know, you've got this kind of like body filler adhesive everywhere that I would imagine doles out vibrations. That's pretty much everywhere on the floors. There are insulated pieces, you know, in the wheel arches. There's foam under the footwells and more fiber mat up there as well too. There is rubber all down the transmission tunnel. And, you know, of course, there's like the styrofoam inside the fenders and stuff. So kind of impressed, you know, for a sub $20,000 car. I think they really did a great job with it, but I can always use more sound deadening. Remember, you don't want to be my first marriage. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the butyl mats. I'm gonna go ahead and lay those down first, and then we will find out, you know, what kind of shape we need to cut these under carpet pieces to. I imagine I'll probably do different sections for that instead of one large piece, just due to, you know, some of the seat mounting areas and the wiring harnesses and stuff. So we will start with that and then go from there. Now you want to be wary of things like drain plugs and of course like electrical connectors. You don't want to go over anything that you're going to actually want to have exposed to. So I like to cut out holes or provisions for those kind of things if I'm going to go over it. So after I've cut my piece for that, I'm going to remove part of the adhesive here, and it's getting a little jacked up because I cut that square here. So let me pull on that. Okay. So now that I have my shape formed, I'm going to lay this here and then lift up and pull away on the sound deadening. This piece out of here. Okay, now that our piece is in place, I'm just gonna kind of press fit it in here using my hands. And then what we'll do after all the sound deadening is in, we'll come back with a roller mat, or I'm sorry, an insulation mat roller, and come back and press all this down so that it seals really nicely. There we have it. There's the first piece. So now we just gotta do that like 30 more times. Okay, you're gonna end up with all sorts of little offcuts, but don't throw those away. I promise you there's places you can use them. When I did this in the Z, I had so many different little odd shapes that I was able to fill the gaps that I might have, cut incorrectly, or just little weird places in the car, crevices and stuff. So yeah, just hang on to those scraps because you will probably use them. You can see we got most of the floor done already, at least up in the front. So we just need to do kind of those footwell areas, and then behind the rear seats here where I'm sitting. Crack out of here. It's really not a hard job. Well, at least when you get down to it.
Nice.
Okay, so I think this is going to be one of the most critical places that we get road noise and harshness and vibration. It's in here in this rear passenger wheel well. So you can see there's a wheel arch there. So that's going to throw rocks and just carry the vibration and noise of the tires quite a bit, especially with no sound deadening right there. Like I said, there's this tiny little piece right here, but you can hear the resonance.
Feeling hot, hot, hot.
The sound in that versus versus that now. So I did this on the Z, like I said, and it made a huge difference in the doors. Of course, I did the doors in this and it made a huge difference. So really excited to see what that does. So we're going to definitely put some down here and then put that insulation back where it was. And then what I'm thinking is to, of course, put butyl mat all back in here, except, well, no, we're going to put it right here as well too, but we're not going to put that under carpet mat there because that's going to dampen the noise, and we kind of want it to reverberate off that to give us a good acoustic noise with the rear speakers. So that's where we're at, and that's what we're going to go ahead and do now. Okay guys, we have finished the rear seat area and the wheel wells. So now it's actually time to put this acoustic mat behind the speaker areas and the wheel well here. Now I have some left over from a previous project, which is nice because I was actually just going to use the under carpet insulation that I had, apply 3M adhesive spray to it and stick it up behind there, but I actually have some of this mat specifically designed for stuff like that, like headliners and such. So I'm going to use that instead, and it'll be real easy to cut up and just spray adhesive up in there and stuff the thing like an old Thanksgiving turkey. See, I've got offcuts of this stuff too. It's good to just keep any of that stuff very offcuts here. It's basically all this thing is left at this point. So now that we've got that piece cut to size, what I will do with this is take it over, flip it onto the cloth side here. And I've got this, it's actually Permatex spray adhesive. Hopefully you can see that. Permatex spray adhesive. And just shake this up like you would a spray paint can. Doesn't have to be anything too crazy. And then, ideally you would do this outside the car, but no. It's not the biggest thing in the world. Not the biggest deal. Alright, I just did it outside the car. So, you want to let that tack up for a second, maybe 30 seconds or so, and let it get really tacky and get to the point where it's going to stick to the material. Okay guys, so whoops. Alright, so the entire interior is covered in the butyl mats and that acoustic sound deadening up in the wheel arches. So with that, I'm actually going to call it a night. It's getting late. It's really dark out here, unfortunately. Getting hard to see. My back hurts just from crouching in this thing. So I'm gonna call it a night for tonight, and then tomorrow we're gonna go ahead and just roll everything down with the roller, and then put down the carpet insulation, the under carpet insulation, and then we will repiece the interior and we'll call it quits on that. All right, so I'm out here with the carpet from the car. I pulled it out and laid it out. So I think the attack route we're gonna go is to lay the under carpet insulation underneath here and then kind of cut out the shape, while the carpet is over it like a template. And then from there, go in the car and make sure that, all the holes are cut for it, like here and here. Make sure that there's provisions for the harnesses to go through and everything. So start with using this as a template and then test fitting it in the car and then laying the carpet in the car and seeing how it fits. Looks to be a really good fit. So all we need to do now is put the seats back in and put all the trim pieces back on and just make sure everything fits up okay. We added about a 1/2 inch of thickness with that carpet, so just want to make sure we don't run into any issues. Alright guys, now that we're all done with that sound deadening, that actually took quite a long time, a bit longer than I was expecting, but hopefully the results are worth it. I can tell you, I just tested out the audio system in here, and this car actually has a really pretty good setup from the factory. I think it's a 300 watt system, and it's got a stock amp underneath the seat here of the driver, and it's got 8 speakers in total. It sounds really good. I can tell that the rear speakers, they sound a little less tinny and just a bit more kind of clear. There's less like reverberation. Not an audio expert, but it definitely sounds like it's a little bit more crisp and there's not so much rattle back there. Now, the million-dollar question remains to be seen is, how does it affect the driving? So we're gonna go ahead and go on the inaugural drive here with this sound deadening. With that being said, let's see how it does. Oh man, just backing out of the driveway, I can tell this thing is, you know, it's a Bentley at this point. Might as well call it the Bentley TC. And if you guys want to know how to build your own Bentley TC, how to cook plain white rice correctly, how to file your taxes, how to get your ex-wife to fall back in love with you, guys, smash that like button to show my ex-wife that there's no more money left. We spent it all on the Bentley TC. No more alimony. I should note as well that, you know, when we're not moving, we're just sitting with the car idling. It's around 56 decibels or so, 55. Okay, 50 miles an hour. Same highway, same stretch. 70 miles an hour, just about. Alright guys, so there we have it. Finished the sound deadening install on the TC, and we are now ready to call this one a wrap. So a few notes here on what I think about the improvements. I think that there's a very marginal improvement, not a ton as far as I can tell, in terms of, you know, actually quieting down the ride at speed. Maybe a few decibels at most if I can really tell anything. The big gains seem to come from the audio system, which is now a lot more crisp. It just sounds more clear, not so tinny, or maybe just a bit more solid of a sound in a way. Like I said, I'm not really an audio expert. I don't know a ton about these things, but it just sounds a bit better now. So I also think that the tires that I have are really cheap. I think all 4 were about $320 or something shipped. So they're a cheaper brand. I really like the performance of the tire, but the road noise definitely leaves a bit to be desired for sure. Especially going up in a 30 mil on the width and just the actual compound itself. I think they're a 300 tread wear if I recall. So they're really pretty noisy. So that doesn't help the case. I think, you know, going back to a higher rolling resistance tire or a stock manufacturer equipped tire would probably really help in that situation. But overall, I'm happy with it. It was something that I wanted to do. I might even do more like in the headliner at some point, just to kind of round all that out. The car has a ton of glass too, you know, having that whole moon roof and then the huge hatch area on the windshield, all the windows, just a lot of glass, and that doesn't help any kind of sound deadening. Now, the other thing is we are gonna probably shelf this build for a little bit. I think we've kind of done more or less like the first stage of the build that I would like to. You know, we have wheels, tires, sound deadening, pedals, improved throttle response, just to name a few. There will be more cosmetic stuff and probably more performance-oriented upgrades in the future, and maybe even, you know, taking the car out to a little bit of track time or an autocross or something. We will see. Let me know if you guys want to see that kind of thing. But for now, we're actually going to focus on probably the 350Z build, the Audi B5 S4, the blue car build, and then we have 2, that's right, 2 brand new projects that you guys have not seen. So if you guys are stoked like we are, make sure and hit that like button and stay subscribed if you guys enjoy this kind of thing. If you didn't like it, feel free to hit the dislike button. Tell us, you know, what we could do better. Really want to know. Want to make sure that these videos are top notch for you guys. So once again, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.